It's back with another what if here. It's what if what if Deku and Bakugo go back in time, but I'm gonna make it a twist. So I'm gonna begin in this timeline. In this timeline. So basically, you know how Deku will point for all and Bakugo in explosions, or Deku is the number one hero while Bakugo is the second hero. Everything in that future was going great. Everything was perfect until one day something struck at their planet, destroying, not really destroying it, but destroying most of the cities. They went out as number one, number two, and seeing something they didn't expect, but it was some type of strong person. And then the moment they look at him, he looks dead at them. And he says, "So you're the ones who took out my father." And they say, "Father, wait, what do you mean by?" And then Deku looks in his eyes. Actually, not his eyes, like what he's wearing, similar to All for One. And then Deku say, "You're All for One's son," and then he nods with a grin. So you kind of detected our faction. So let me guess, you are the strongest, right? Um, Compared to my dad and Shigaraki, who had All for One, my power is more versatile than theirs. And he blitzes at Deku. Even Deku's danger sense could not have sensed that. It felt like it was instant, like literally instant. Socks Deku to the floor, making a shockwave that's bigger than his. Even when he used 1,000%, 1,000,000%, it's not even bigger. It's bigger than that. Deku is bro. I mean, that boy is out for the count. And then Bakugo was about to hit him with an explosion. How was it impact? But this man caught Bakugo's explosion and just tossed him like a rag doll to Deku. Deku was able to get up and grab Bakugo at the time, but that force throw was so powerful, it was heavy. And the moment he said, "Oh, this is getting boring," and Deku using full power of one for all and Faujin in his face of full counting, hits him once. Like literally hits him once. It does a big, massive shockwave, but it didn't phase him. It pushed him back, but it didn't phase him. And he said, "What the hell?" And then, since Bakugo trains his body every day, like now, since Deku told him about that one time, so he trained his body for this occasion. So Deku gives Bakugo one for all, like not really give it to him, but like share, because he figured out how to share one for all without giving to him. Since Deku's the last user, it won't go anywhere else. So Bakugo will get one for all going full calorie, full 100% that he can handle, and his power of the explosion. So they charge at this man, exploding him, hitting him around, and this man is just laughing. He's laughing his ass off. And then this man will start explaining. He was like, he is All for One's son, but not biologically. His power, his pressure is much different. He's a creation of all powers. Not like all powers, but a different power. A power that's different than everybody's. This man powers up. And they can notice this is not a quirk. And Bakugo noticed that too. That's not a quirk. Quirks don't allow you to power up like this much. And this power is shaking the planet. This man powers up into a different version. A power that's really unstable, but this man powered up I'm gonna say this because since he's an experiment, All For One found some good things about this experiment. So this man powers up to Super Saiyan 4 without Super Saiyan or without the transformation of the Great Ape, because somehow this experiment, aka All For One's son, is like he combined both of the powers. Like the powers are both combined in the first place. They was so he could turn to this form at will, and at first it was weak as hell. And then this man powered up to Super Saiyan 4. Or I should call him his the wrath of domination. Not like that, like domination, but wrath, because since he doesn't know what a Super Saiyan 4 is. So basically, this man is really overpowered. Socks Deku in 100%. Bro, that man powered down so fast. That punch was about to kill Deku. And it smacks Bakugo really hard. Smacked him to Deku and made a bigger crater. And they are both cleaned alive and said, well, hope y'all have fun in the afterlife. Sends a giant supernova at them. And literally blow up the planet. And might as well say, I'm going to say this. The reason why this man is strong, because this man was weak at first of using the power until he trained his body to max it out to his max potential. So basically, assumingly you think Bakugo and Deku are dead. And y'all wonder like, what is this mean about Deku and Bakugo go back into time? Well, so basically, they died, but they actually didn't die. They were basically getting teleported somewhere. They got teleported in the Pacific Plane. They don't know where they are or where they are. So they're confused until like some two figures walk up to them and they got ready for a fight, but they notice they can't use their powers or quirks. They look on and seeing some people resembling them, but like different, like they resemble them. And they ask who are they and what they want. And they start like saying, "Oh, it's my grandson Zuko," and the other one said, "Oh, this is my grandson Bakugo." And they're confused, like, "Wait, grandson? I have grandparents?" That's what they're thinking. And then they will actually start explaining why their parents don't remember them. Oh, so we have grandparents. So wait, you sent mom and our moms to this planet? And then explaining their powers were really sealed, but Bakugo got a thing called quirk from his father. Well, Deku didn't have the powers at all. The reason why, because someone was trying to exterminate our race. And they get into full details, like was a strong being, aka another version, like different version of Frieza, who's way more powerful than them. But explaining their Saiyan, I'm gonna say this: they're on the way. There are different types of Saiyans. If y'all didn't read the manga, The Next Generation, or on the YouTube manga about The Next Generation, they are different type of Saiyans. But since I don't know most of them like that, I'm gonna use the. Hmm, I'm gonna say they're both from the same race. They're tiger type Saiyans. And explaining their whole Saiyan history, the tiger type Saiyans are same as the Azaru type Saiyans. They're kind of confused until they actually reverse their seals. That was actually a seal that was placed on them, and they grew their wolf, tiger type Saiyan tail out, or actually wolf type tails. They're kind of wolves in a way. The wolf type's tails out, and they see they got a big ass tail. The reason why they told them like why their tails should be covered because of the moon. I'm gonna say in the freaking manga of The Next Generations, they all do. If you guys see the people who actually, if you guys don't watch YouTube or see the Next Generation manga books, yeah, you'll understand why. It's just the same as the Zarus, but a little bit more different. They will go turn big, but not as a monkey, but as a big ass tiger. I think. I mean, wolf. Like I don't know. They never did it in the manga, so I don't know. So they can explain since Dekubaku are completely shocked. They're the strongest, but now they notice they're stronger than they already know. Deku could have had this power and beat everybody. Baku's did the same thing. So they can taught the ways of their race. So Dekubaku, known as training, they started to figure out their sand power, like wolf type powers out. Literally, they're getting faster, learning as they fight. Not like as a Zaru type Saiyans, but they're learning. But their tremendous fighting power is increasingly more powerful than Saiyans. I mean, the Zaru type Saiyans. They're training extra hard just to save. They're thinking like, why they actually now they thinking why are they even here training them? After explaining it, they have the ability to send them back in time. But this is only the one time, and seeing the problem now, this is only the one time they can do. So, getting trained up, and they do explain the time travel might be very, very different because they explain Trunks from Vegeta, the Prince of the Ozaru type Saiyans, explaining it might be different. They told them they might be stronger in that timeline, or All Might never got his injury in this timeline, but they might got stronger. The villains they fought may get stronger. So basically, they're getting trained, and they sort of activate a first kind of like wolf type transformation, where their pupils are gone, and they appear not like wolf like, but their faces like grow teeth. Their hair spikes up, but it still is black, powering up. They was not able to control this power at first until like their grandparents knocked them out and taught them to control it. So they learned how to maintain and discipline the form. They don't know what to call it, until because you know how the Zarus have the Zaru the type thing, the what was it called? Akari. So I'm gonna put this in like in different ways since they have Akari and their explanations of other things. Bakugo and Deku are wolf type Saiyans. So there are basically the wolf Akari forms. Basically like the Akari like Broly used, but very more different. Because in this state they just grow in power faster, and it's very hard to maintain since it's like a wolf. Imagine a wolf being as strong as a Saiyan, but more powerful. Imagine that. So imagine that, but their hair is black, pupils are gone. Actually, no, they have slit eyes when they activate this form. I'm gonna say this: they can increase this power to the maximum level. They can like maintain this form Akari. I mean, the wolf type Akari state. They can do it and make it more transformation well because in the next generation they never explain what type of they can get Super Saiyan or not. They never explain that in the next generation of the manga. So they basically could do whatever they want in this form unless they discipline it more. So they learn the basics of ki and more things or less. And they can use it without the form as well. And they're basically strong as is without it. Compared to Cannon cells, they would have got whopped. The Cannon cells would have actually got whopped very badly. So they are powered up more efficiently, and they can hardly. They basically can basically use like I'm gonna say it's like a little nerf. I'm gonna say nerf a little bit. They're basically like I'm gonna say like 20% under all main strength, 20% of their powers that really can handle without losing control or discipline out of power. So they are able to use 20% without going out insane, but they go to at least 21%. They would have to maintain that form for at least the hour. So basically, they are maintaining these powers, and I'm gonna give an explanation of how it looks, but give me a sec. How they power. Don't think about this. Like, imagine this with their Akari powers at 20%. This is how it looks when they do that full power. The sky will turn black. Imagine. And this is how they spar to keep maintaining these forms over and over, back and forth, just to keep them alive. As they continue to train, they will at least go up to, without really going insane, they can at least go like they're like 25% of their full power without going insane. Not fully insane, but almost close to insane if they stay at 25%, if they go back down to 20. So they're perfectly fine. Their grandpas think there's enough at this point because they don't have much time. So they sent them back in the past. Before they go, they said, wait, Izuku was saying, wait, what do we call our powers though? since we don't have original power quirks, they will say just call them wolf type sand quirks. And since Bakugo's hair is blonde, so they can't tell if it's the same. And Deku's hair is black and green, so they can't tell it's the same power. So they get sent back in time. At this point, Dago's at the quirk doctor. Bakugo's getting his quirk checked out. And Bakugo remembers, since he can control the power even in his kid body, at least at 10% this time. 20%, it will go rampage. Deku and Bakugo are communicating telepathically. They will do what they can do. So the test will begin. They are demolishing it. They're not showing out, but they're using like 5%. And the doctors think they got a enhancement type quirk with a wolf tail and energy blast. And they notice they look like kind of like wolf-like, so they think this is like a wolf type enhancement type quirk. Did we know that before? Well, no. Like, this is like news, and I'm assuming you know what the Wendigo is. Like, I've heard of it, but okay. So everything was going weirdly for the mothers at this point, because they wonder, like, how did they? And they understand they got it from them. Since I said, like their grandpa said, it might be very different in this timeline. I wouldn't say it's unknown, because there's still people going missing to this day on the lake and the woods around. I think we might be the only people. So Bakugo and Deku know what to do. They start to continue to train, even though they got the best, strongest powers right now. They call it the wolf type transformations. And their second quirk is energy manipulation. So they have two types of quirks they quote says. I'm gonna give a clear rundown. The only body who can literally turn off their powers, since their grandpas told them, like, just in case they don't lose suspicions, the only person they will remember is Aizawa cutting off the powers they had. So they asked him, that is that possible they can let Aizawa cut off their powers, for there's no like problem if they lose control. So they allowed that. And this is the perfect timeline where Aizawa can cut off powers that don't make no sense. So Deku and Bakugo understand the game plan. They train their bodies off into the limit. So they was able to go at least 10% now, like actually 11%, 12% if it keep going up the years. So they train very hard. Very hard. And they was getting stronger by the day. They was able to access their Akari type power. Their wolf type Akari forms is very hard to maintain at this point. So they stick to lower levels of their power. And so, yeah, because at this point, I said their transformation is slim because they only use 5%, not like 20% like their original selves can. Since they got sent back to their past bodies, so they're learning again how to do this. I didn't want to just end there. I kind of feel like I want to go So they are getting very, very stronger. I'm gonna show you what I mean. Imagine this when they power up. They power up like this. Their muscles bulge and their eyes change color into a slit, and their hair spikes up, and they access their 11% of their Wolfakari forms. It is very hard to maintain for them, but they discipline it anyway. So they are very learning as they go in their powers. So far, we're gonna do a little bit time skip. They're basically 15 years old now, mastering their quirks at this point. I mean, quote unquote power quirks. So they are going to A at this point in time. Deku remembering this part with the sludge villain. And the sludge villain never showed up. It's like it's not here. And All Might and Bakugo noticed, wait, like their grandpas had told them, things never happened like they did before. So All Might must have caught the sludge villain. And so Deku never meets All Might in this timeline. But the person who gets one for all, even though All Might. Yeah, the person who gets one for all is Ochako or Araka, but they don't know that. But I'm saying, like, it's a different timeline. What the grandpa says, things don't make sense in this timeline. So they don't know who All Might gave the one for all to, but they're gonna have to figure that out. So they go back and do the 10 months of training. Since they don't have no reason to go to the beach, what they can do is apply is like, let's like at least go clean it up. And they go there. We're about to go directly to go. But in the distance, Deku senses a familiar energy. Bakugo as well. This is All Might's presence. Or key. And then the person that's next to him is Deku's eyes widening. Oh, Chaco? Then they don't run, but they fly up and seeing Araka training with All Might in this timeline, lifting up weights and all that. And under the conversation, they hear All Might say, "Don't you want to be a hero?" And said, "Yes, no matter what." And Deku's wondering, wait, why is she not using her gravity quirk? And then listening closer, I was training hard even though I was born with nothing, getting picked on. And she keeps lifting up, and Deku looking at Bakugo, and Bakugo looking at Deku like, she's quirkless. And Deku understands Uraraka's pain at this point. She's quirkless. Like how Deku was quirkless. It seems to be minus 1,000 degrees. Minus 18. That's pretty cold. And on the commotion, All Might looks up and sees Deku and Bakugo. And he's like, "Hey, you two, why are you using your quirks?" And they's like, "Oh shit, we got caught by All Might." And they fly down. And they notice All Might's not debuffing. Even though when they was over here, All Might never noticed them there. So how's he? And then they read his key and notice he doesn't have nothing weighing him down like an injury. They notice he doesn't have his envy here. And they started explaining things All Might. Like they was looking for a place to train, and they searched up on this beach that has trash here. And All Might looking at them knows that it's like it's kind of true, and he asks what their quirks are, and Deku goes like wolf type, wolf type, wolf type sand quirk, wolf type, wolf type, wolf first quirk, wolf type. It's a enhancement type quirk that gives me the ability to boost in power. We both got the same ones out of curiosity, but we got the same as our second quirk, energy manipulation. They started explaining they was able to fly with their energy and how use blast and everything. All my things is suppressed and everything. And they're kind of asking, can they help out? Because they're looking for a place to like train without using their powers. They have to build up their physical qualities first. All Might looking at that is nods and asks Uraraka to come here and looking at these two new people, explaining everything to Uraraka at this point, and she obligingly said yes, and Deku likes to smile. And they go like this, well, nice to meet you, Miss. Since she doesn't know them in this timeline, Deku acts like they don't know each other. So they said, Miss, and then she said, Ochako or Raka. And they asked, like, Cavillia, what's your quirk? And she was about to say she does it until All Might said, oh, she has a straight type quirk. And they said, oh, cool. I guess you're going to be super strong. And they actually asked in a convenient way, are you going to UA? And she said, yeah, it's been a dream. And she said, cool. They said, cool. We hope to see her there. And she looks up with actually astonishment. These two are actually acknowledging her. Now see, and they explain how much power can she use out of her quirk, and she doesn't know. He explains like she can't control it. She might break her arm. That's why she's building up her physical strength. And Deku Bakugo looks up and noticed like, yeah, it does make sense. So she does the other half while the boys do the other half. And then after that face left, like when Bakugo and Bing left, Uraraka gets the quirk one for all. And they came back for another like training session since they All Might they train with Uraraka and martial arts, no powers or nothing. And All Might thinks this is actually a good idea for she to learn a fighting style. So they come back, trained her, even though they trained her good in martial arts. And then the arm was going, and Deku was like sensing this, like, oh, wait. She didn't throw it, but the power stopped. And Deku said he has the second quirk allows him to sense people and sense their power. You're building all your power into your arm. And she noticed that, and that's why it was hurting. Deku was given the conclusion that All Might never thought of before. How about spread the power through your entire body instead of letting it off at one point? And All Might and Uraraka was thinking about that. Like, no, they thought they have a new thing now, and Uraraka will actually do just that. Charges up her one for all into her body, and then she will get the pink lightning, actually brown lightning around her. And she said, this is I can use for now. But since Uraraka was more determined, if you ever watch My Hero and how determined is Ochako with that aura, she could use 10% of one for all. And Deku was like, damn, that's some bullshit. And Uraraka was just laughing in the background. She's like, yeah, I can use 10%. And they told her to put on, and she charges at a fast pace that they just at first didn't see. Unbeknownst to them, she activated the fucking who's the guy with the Fajin quirk? What was his number? Yeah, she actually the second quirk of One for All, Fajin, 1%. And Deku noticed that was a second extra power boost. He blocks it, went back a little bit. And the body was like, damn, bro, you let a girl push you back? That's disappointing. And Deku said, shut up. And All Might was like, young Midoriya, why are you not using your power? Well, he would start displaying All Might, his Bakugo's wolf type transformation is very hard to maintain. They can barely use like 20% at this point. Even though I said they train with the grandpas to master 20%, when they redo this whole thing, it's very hard because they don't have the grandpas to help them or calm them down. So yeah, so they will rather, but they could say he would rather show her like 5% of his power, and then he started to power up. The ground, smoke, and all that goes around, and he powers up into his wolf type Akari state. Slit eyes, hair spiked, tail out. And Uraraka is not trembling, but like shocked about this power. And he said, alright, come on. And then they charged, clashed once. It's in a dust storm. They was going back and forth. Over and over. Deku sends a left hook. Uraraka dodges. And then sends a left kick. Deku blocks. And Uraraka did a spin to hit Deku in the face with a spin kick. Deku block sends a spin of his own, but Uraraka used a spin kick to block his spin kick. And they are just basically doing the same thing over and over. And Deku started to power up at least 6%. Uraraka noticed he's getting up basically faster. And then Deku chops her on the neck by going 7%. She's learning as she goes. That's what Deku says, pretending like he's tired. And All Might will actually share their secret, like about their key thing, well, not their transformation. When Uraraka wakes up and she is happy, like their powers are strong and everything, she's quite amazed. And Deku and Bakugo, since like looks at All Might Uraraka, since we train together and all that, we might as well share our secret then. And they'll listen closely. Like their second quirk is not really a quirk; it's called Energy of Ki, and they're kind of shocked about that. What is this? And they start explaining Ki to them and how they actually learn it, not from their grandpas or anything, how they learn it on their own. And since they trust them, they might as well teach Uraraka and All Might at least about Ki. And All Might, seeing this honesty, would actually look at Uraraka would look at All Might and nod. And they'll keep the secret, and All Might will start displaying the One for All to them, and they pretend to be shocked, like damn, and everything. They pretend, and then they will start teaching them the ropes about Ki, while Uraraka learning more and more about One for All. And they told All Might and Uraraka never share this to anybody because we don't know who we can trust. So they know that. So, and their 10 months of training was up. Uraraka was able to pick up Ki, able to use Ki without, like, she could fly, but not as fast. When she used 10% or 12% at this point now. When One for Alls fly faster. All Might learning Ki is very, very, like, I'm not gonna, he's OP as it is, but I would like say he only use Ki to strengthen himself. So's Uraraka for right now. So at this point, Deku and Bakugo is able to use 20% without any losing control, but they're at their physical spot where they was at before, but they got sent back in time. They are able to use 25% of their power before they go insane. Before, actually, not insane, like they almost lose control. And they're at the UA gates. So, but this is the ending of this first episode. I just thought about this and everything. So, peace. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys liked this video. Hope you guys have a good day, and hope you guys send me your things. Peace.